Okay, so now that you're on, go to the channels and see if I'm live streaming. Open the YouTube channel. See if it worked. Oh my gosh. You see me? Are you on YouTube or Facebook? You're on YouTube? And do you want to check Facebook? For anybody that is out there happens to be clicking into the space right now, this is our first time doing it and we are testing. 1, 2, 3. Did we get it to work? See if it's on Facebook. The only thing I can't see when I'm here is any type of Q&A. Okay, it says it's streaming on all the other platforms. I can see that in Restream right now. View it on YouTube. It's interesting you don't see the video here. I can see you guys on the video, but it doesn't show me my video there, but you can see me on video. Christina? Okay, there I am. I can see it now. I think it's a little bit delayed on the restream from what is actually happening. I think there's a bit of a delay. Okay, now I'm going to open up Instagram. I have no idea how to go live. That's not the button. That's not the button. How do you go live? Can you go live on Instagram? Can anyone go live on Instagram? Okay. I'm not sure how that happens. Oh, you gotta love newbies. Why don't they make it clear how you go live? Am I missing a button somewhere? Okay, I don't know how to do that. There's got to be a way. Ooh. This is a good test for us to see how all of this works. Figured it out. Well, no, I don't know how to turn it on though. Oh, fun. Can you see me on the other channels?
I don't see you on Facebook and I don't see you on Instagram.
Swipe right. Oh. You don't see me on Facebook?
No. See. it's the love one? It's the soul love?
It should be on our main page too. Okay, I think I figured out how to go live.
Okay, so you're live on Soul Love Group.
No, am I?
Yes, I see you on the the Soul Love Facebook group, but I don't see you on. Go back here.
Okay, so we are attempting to do our first live stream ever on Instagram. We are also live on YouTube. Hopefully you can see me in each of the places. I'm trying to navigate the entire live stream side of the world. They're telling people to join, so that's good. When I'm looking up, Christina, at the phone, does it really lose the connection when I'm by the main screen?
You look like you're looking up.
Yeah, here
Yeah.
when I'm doing it.
Yes.
Let's try this one more time. Okay, that's like way darkened.
That's too dark.
Okay, I'm gonna end the live on Facebook. Okay. Oh, geez. Oh, well, at least you can see my phone.
Can it be attached on the side of your computer?
It is, yep.
Okay.
I have it kind of set here.
So I don't know why we're not seeing it on Facebook page.
Good question.
Huh.
Okay. Now I figured out that part. Okay, let's come on to here on Restream. It says it's live on my own profile. That's probably what's going on.
Oh, it is. It is on your own profile.
Oh, it is?
Yes, Janice Taylor.
Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, now I'm figuring these things out. Hold on. Of course, my children decide to text right when you're trying to do something.
So you can see all of us on. You have to get rid of the multi windows.
Like that?
No.
Oh, you mean multi-windows when you're
The
on there?
gallery. Yeah.
Oh, you just have everyone shut the camera off. So shut your camera off for now. Choose.
Can you do gallery view? Can you just do just yourself and remove the gallery view?
Hide non-video participants. How about that? And just close your stop video on that one. Okay. How's that? I think we figured it out.
I see. Yeah, so I see the squares, but I don't. Okay, I can't. Oh no, I can turn my video back on.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to
Tell everyone when they come on just to shut their video off. And then you just hide them as participants.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a setting in Zoom.
I just figured it out in Zoom. Yeah.
No, not to show
Well, you would
participants.
just host, you just have to tell people when they come in to shut all their video off, and then you just hide all non-video participants. Okay, so we have 23 followers are active right now. This is my first time ever going live. Today's topic is talking about unhealthy relationships and what are some of the signs. If you have never been to one of our lives before and this is your first time, this is my first time. So I want to just say hello. So the topic we're going to cover today is really talking about unhealthy relationships and how do you know? I think there's lots of vernacular out into the world around relationships. There's lots of apparently gurus around relationships. I've been studying emotional pain specifically for the last 30 years and looking how these early trauma wounds that we have and these pain points that we have from our earliest life experiences, how do those show up in our life, in our relationships? How do they show up in the workplace? And for those that are not familiar with AHA Healing, this is my own modality. We have created this wonderful do-it-yourself healing space. So please go and check that out. The link is in the bio on Instagram. And if for all of you that are in the pages, you can go to any of those pages as well. So let's get to the topic at hand. If you have any questions and you're on Instagram specifically, fire those up in there. Some of our members of our team will be looking at other places. And so if you have any questions, please fire them away. But we're just going to give you a really simple 10 ways that you know or potentially have ignored the red flags in your relationships. Okay, so number one, do you talk about the relationship? This is a really interesting one because for most of us, we've been raised in a world where we are always talking about relationships. You go out with your friends, you share a bottle of wine, you end up talking about your spouses and your partners. People are addicted to talking about the relationship. In fact, probably even 10 years ago, they said, well, if you're not talking about your relationship all the time, then, you have a communication issue. And I think we just got to this place that all we do is dissect and analyze your relationship versus actually just living your life and looking at it from a parallel perspective versus this very interconnected, tangled, messy part of it. So number one, if you are in a relationship and you are talking about it all the time, this is potentially a red flag. This also is a sign that you're maybe not listening to your inner soul and into your intuition, and you're trying to figure things out. So that is a red flag. Number two, have you stopped living? When you get into a relationship, you probably maybe before had a bit of a break between your relationships, probably started to see your friends again, maybe focus on reading the books you liked, maybe exercising, doing things that you wanted to do about your life. And so what often happened is that we stop doing that because the relationship becomes something that we are consumed by. And if you are consumed by your relationship, that is a red flag. If you stop doing all the things that you did before this person came into your life, chances are that is also a red flag. And what happens is it actually is your codependency starting to kick in. And at AHA Healing, we have defined codependency very differently than other people's have defined it. We define it as human addiction that creates this triangulation of how you live. That is a learned behavior, and you learned that as a child when you were young. So that triangulation actually ends up being what you are attracting into your life. The third, and I think this one is obvious red flag, but not always. Are you in a relationship where projection or gaslighting exists? So this is how this goes down. You think something is going on in your relationship. You have a sensation of it. You maybe are ignoring those signs, and you start to talk to your partner about it. And two things happen. They start convincing you of a different reality, and you're like, I'm sure this is the reality I'm in, but they start telling you another version of events, or he said, she said. And the second part of that gaslighting, which is trying to convince you that something doesn't exist, is really trying to project onto them feelings that they have. Oh, you're always doing this, you're like this, you are insecure, you're this. Anything that involves a projection and gaslighting, which are the weapons of codependent addiction, is when you start to know that this relationship is gone south fast. That is like the big bing, 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 bing. If you have any kind of gaslighting in your relationship, this is a red flag. This is someone who is taking all of their shit, for lack of a better term, and piling it over onto you. If that is happening in any regard, this relationship needs a detox. Number 4, confusion. I have sat with many people over the years. I've been doing this work a long time. I've also been alive, and I've had friends and girlfriends and family members, you name it. And I'm always fascinating when people are having this conversation and then they'll say, well, I don't really know where it's going. I don't really know how to define it. I don't really know what we are. Red flag. If you are not clear in your relationship, this is a red flag, like big red flag, like bing, 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 red flag. If you can't ask the question with your partner to say, hey, are we monogamous? If that's the rules that you want in your relationship, for example, if you can't ask it, that means you're already in a state of holding on to this relationship far too tightly and wanting to give it energy that it doesn't really need to be given. That means that you are attaching your own internal wounds onto this relationship. And as a result of that, you're changing who you really are. And that's when all of that codependent addiction starts to rear its ugly head and to ultimately bleed into your relationships. That is such a clear one. Now, number 5 red flag. If you are in a relationship of which you have chosen and your partner has chosen that monogamy is a core value for you, you both have said, we want a monogamous relationship, but someone violates it, either one of you betrays it, and infidelity occurs. Now, this is where there is a lot of confusion, I think, in the world around this point. It doesn't mean that you're prudish, doesn't mean that you don't have the capacity to forgive. It means that there is a violation of your core value that was set for your relationship. And if you violate a portion of that, that means that there isn't self-respect. This is one of the other most misunderstood pieces of infidelity, is the fact that infidelity is about their own addiction. It is not about you. It is never about you. It is a complete process within themselves that they use humans and in fact use sex potentially so that they don't have to feel how they feel. This has nothing to do with another partner. But if someone shifts into, well, our relationship is so broken because you're not giving me what I need, I had to go do this, that is back to number 2, I think, projection. That means they are projecting and gaslighting the feelings that they have about themselves now onto you, and they're now making it your problem. If that is the case, then your relationship has a massive red flag, which brings me now to 6 or 7, can't remember what number we're at, is values. Your values are important. They are who you are. That's how you choose to live your life. Not everybody has to agree with your values. Not everybody has to be on the same page. People will value different things. But if you want sustainable, healthy love, you and your partner will have a set of values of how you choose to live your life, how you choose to be in your life. And that mutual agreement and that mutual understanding keeps you in parallel existence. It's not up to your partner to manage your values, which is going to lead me to the next red flag. And it's not up to you to teach or parent or educate. Now, I'm going to say this one in full love and affection for this next part of unhealthy relationships. But are you a mother or a lover? And I say that in love and affection to many of my fellow women in the world, but I also believe that men do this as well. Our relationships are not our children. They're just not. They're not in the same category. They're not in the same type of relationship. If you are educating your partner or managing your partner or teaching your partner or mising your partner, you have become his mother. And I'm telling you, unless there's certain parts of the world, no one wants to sleep with their mother. So when you sit in that energy of managing them and you think it's your job to do that, you are in heavy, heavy codependency. Relationships are here for us to enjoy, to love, to find interesting. I want to be my husband's lover, not his mother. He has a mother. And hopefully she did a good job. And if she did a good job, clearly she did, because I've chosen him as my partner. If she didn't do a good job to teach him how to become a man, that's not my problem. And I'm not really here to teach him how to become a man, because again, I'm not here to teach. I'm here to enjoy. I'm here to have a parallel existence in this relationship. But where we get things so fucked up is we think it's our job to manage the other person that you've chosen to be in a relationship. Nothing sends a relationship south faster than when you choose to wear that hat, when you choose to sniffle his nose when he can really do it himself. You can do nice things. I'll cook chicken soup, but I'm not here to like pat his ass and send him out the door. That's not my job. To really understand what parallel existence is in your relationships is to separate from that codependency. And so this is the other flag. Are you in a toxic triangulated relationship? And it doesn't mean triangulation involves another partner. Triangulation and toxic triangulation is the bedrock of a codependent, toxic, addictive relationship. That's really where you are in that state of trying to use this relationship to fill the hole and the wound that is yours to heal. It is an inside job and an internal job. But when we were children and we had our pain point, we formed a system of three things. Three things happened when we had our first pain point. The first thing that happened is we started to believe we weren't worthy of love. So we started to compromise on love. We started to compromise and change ourselves in order to get love. The second part of that system is our codependent triangulation. Your codependent triangulation is victim, martyr, perpetrator. It is a learned behavior where a person starts to change themselves to be in relationship with that person. So we hear about codependency from a people-pleasing perspective, or those that have actually been in relationships with addicts. That is really an old perspective of it. Codependency is far deeper than that. It's far more connected to the addictive parts of our being versus us trying to people please a relationship. So one of the biggest parts of that is to really understand what role you are dominant in your triangulation. If you're a martyr, you really believe that you're here to fix and solve and care for all of your relationships and everyone goes to you. And you actually, in your psychology, believe that you are here to do that. The victim is, everything always happens to me. Woe is me. I can't believe this. Here we go again. Here's another relationship that's treating me badly. That's a victim mindset. Then you have perpetrator. Perpetrators are a lot more chaos driven. They don't necessarily want to be tended to. You'll see a lot of narcissistic tendencies that will show up in both martyrs and perpetrators. Everyone can play one of the roles, but you will be dominantly one way, which means who are you attracting? This is your true laws of attraction, is your codependent triangulation. That is really what you're bringing to you. We think we're in control of our minds, and of course our emotional pain doesn't matter, and we are making conscious decisions on who we are dating. But here's the real gig. You're not. As long as that wound is alive in your being and in your body, it is what is attracting you into and bringing more to you, more pain. Until you pluck out that thorn that is in your being, you will always find yourself attracting the same types. And we're frustrated. We're like, why do I keep dating the same person? Why do I keep going through that? Now, if that's part of what has happened to you, it just means that it's time for the wound to leave the body. When we experienced emotional pain, which everyone does, let me get this straight, 99.9% of the world has an emotional pain point before their 10th birthday. Everyone, even if they have the most glorious childhood, they'll still have a pain point. When they have a pain point, it's like a thorn that gets stuck. When that pain point came into your body, and 99.9% of the world has one, it came in at love and belonging. So if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that thorn came into your being, it's stuck there, it stayed there, and it is what has festered over time. It has its own vibrational energy, which is wrapped in your codependent triangle. And that is the active ingredient that's bringing you more pain until you decide to pluck out the thorn, which is the process we created at AHA Healing. So you could pluck out that thorn and you could really have the best relationships. And yes, you can heal. The other part of this triangulation is to really see it in your relationships. Do you see it right now? Which is, again, I think number 7 or 8, red flag. Are you in a codependent relationship? And you know that by how it makes you feel. And if you feel any sensation of having to do this or desperation or any sense of control, which brings me to number 9. If you have control in your relationships, meaning you feel you need to control the other person's behavior, this is a red flag. Giant, big sign, put it in Vegas. If anybody is controlling any aspect of your behavior, like, oh, I want you to do this and you should do this and call me right when you're done work. And why didn't you answer my phone? I sent you this text, any kind of all of that, you are in a codependent relationship. And why this is important to understand is the fact that when you're in a codependent relationship, you are their drug and vice versa. And the same parts of the brain are active. Now, this has been buried in your subconscious. You may not even know that this is an active part of your life because it got buried in your subconscious and the emotional pain point maybe is 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. You may not even know. It so becomes buried in your subconscious and you're just so used to going through the motions and being in this relationship. This is where you really need this circuit breaker. This brings me to the final red flag. I think I got them all. Is, do you know that you're loved by your breath? Period. If there is any part of you that is keeping score in this relationship when it comes to love, doing this in order to get love, them saying, look what I've done for you lately, this is the love I'm going to give you. If there is any type of conditions to the love that you currently have in your relationship, chances are you're in a codependent relationship, and this is a big giant red flag. Here's what I know to be true after all of these years of study. Love is your birthright. It's your birthright. You came into this world, which we now know with the research from babies and children, even in womb, that you came ready for love. You came open to it, expecting it. Here I am as a baby. Love me. People love me. It's humans and our current conditioning of our life and our culture and all the other pieces that actually led us into our codependent addictions. Emotional pain, it's not intentional oftentimes. It's just kind of a byproduct of our humanity. There are different levels of trauma, for sure, especially when we're looking at gender and race and other parts of that. There is cultural and community trauma that is very real. If you trace all of that through and come to the very core root of our humanity, almost everyone has an emotional pain point. But we also have the flip side of the moon, which is what I studied extensively. I'm like, well, if we have this on this side of the moon, well, what's this other side of the moon? Does this other side of the moon show me something about myself that I may not know? And after studying 12 different academic theories over the last 30 years, 30 different therapeutic processes, this is what I know to be true. You have 2 voices. Those voices are competing for your attention and your love at all times. One is the voice of the ego that lives in the dark, and one is the voice of the soul, and it lives in the light and in love. Love is your birthright. When you know that you are loved, you can have healthy parallel relationships because you don't need anything from them, but you can certainly enjoy them. When we think we need this person or we have to have this person change in order for these conditions to be met, when we feel so lost and staring at our phone going, I wonder if they're going to call. Do you think they're going to call? Do you know what kind of relationship we're having? I don't know what kind of relation. Do you know what kind of relation? All of that stuff has moved us no different than if you spent any time with any type of an addict from any type of any area. If you look at a heroin addict, they're looking for their next fix. A codependent addict is looking for their next partner, their next part of the relationship. They live in that constant state of it. And it's that state and this roller coaster that makes most relationships fail. I jokingly say that when some of us that have been married for their first time, I'm now married my second time with a big, almost 10-year gap in between my two marriages. My first marriage, I definitely married my pain. I tried to change the occurrences of my past with this relationship. And what I realized was that this relationship could never change what had happened to me as a child, and it couldn't change my emotional pain. When I then took the circuit breaker to really dive into the core roots of myself, I discovered Matthew. And I could only discover Matthew once I knew that I was loved just by my breath. That's it. I didn't need to do anything. I didn't need to look a certain way. I didn't need to phone him 10 times a day to say, hey, I'm still here. Do you love me? I didn't need any kind of that state. I just could see him as the glorious human that he is and enjoy him as he carves out his place in life. And that's parallel tracks. If your relationship is like this and you think it's healthy, I would examine the 10 red flags. The parallel tracks is the goal. That's the goal. And here at AHA Healing, we wrote this relationship course. I wanted to write this course for numerous reasons. One was most of the work the last 12 years I've been doing in the world of AHA has been around relationships. But I was like, man, we have a manual for like everything except for this. And then I went to look at the manuals and most of them were written by, no offense to this world, 30-something-year-old white men. And I was like, what? We need another perspective. It was the same perspective I felt when I was doing my psychology degree. I was like, wow, there's all the fathers of psychology. Where are the mothers? Simple question, but like lots of fathers of psychology, but where are the women? And so I wanted an additional perspective, not that I didn't think that some of the things that they said are deeply valid, but I thought, well, we need another perspective. And I think what we're learning today is still this very outdated notion in order for you to get the guy or to secure the guy. And this is what you need to earn the relationships. It's so much is built around that ego construct that has caused this incredible destruction. And this is what I firmly believe after all of this study is the fact that unless you heal the inner wound within yourself and make that an individual journey, healthy relationships will elude you. They just will. That thorn is an active thorn that 99% of us have. There's no shame or blame in it. It manifests itself in very different ways for each individual person. But once we are in that and we know that to be true, can we actually heal? That became the driving question for me. Can we actually heal? And the answer is hell yes. Yes, you can heal. Yes, you can pluck out that thorn. Yes, totally awesome, amazing relationships exist. Trust me, if you had told me that I was going to have this kind of love, I would never have believed you. My mother, God bless her, I love her to death, but she has been telling me that all men are bastards for the last 35 years, since basically puberty. And her whole dating life in her 80 years amounts to 2 relationships. One was my father, which she swore off to hell, and another one that she swore off to hell. And then she's not been on a date since for 20 years. And so all I'd ever heard as a kid was that all men are bastards. And I thought that can't be true. We have to find a different reason, a different solution. And this is the pursuit that I went on. And I only would offer this and do this if I had put myself through the trenches of it. And I put myself through the trenches of it. I've been to Bali to heal, Arizona, Alaska, and everything in between. I studied all of these theories so that I could say, yes, this course works for 3 different reasons. The first thing is I believe that everyone has the ability to really know what they need and how to heal within themselves. I believe the answers really do lie within. The difference is that I wanted to make a map. I'm like, here is the answers. Let's go there. And then how do we find the treasure? And what's that little adventure that we're going to have in between there? And so that was really one of the biggest driving forces of that, is that I felt that everyone did. The second thing is I wanted to find a solution to our codependent addiction. And so that's when we made the golden triangle. Now, if you have not had a love board, let me just say, you should have a love board. I think that everyone should have a love board, mostly because I think you need to understand who you want to love, who you really love, what is really inside of you, and all of that true self. That process of designing the golden triangle, that took me over a decade. And I'm so excited. And all of the team at AHA, they know how to do love boards. So if you have not had a love board, get a love board. It's essential for your life, like for sure. The third part of it is I thought, well, once you have the theory and a love board, then having a partnership guide is really good, but not forever. Like if you're still seeing a couples therapist, and I'm sorry if this is going to be controversial, and it's say it's been like a decade and your relationship still is relying on a therapist, yeah, you're in a triangulation. That was one of the flags. Are you in a codependent triangulation? Meaning, is there a third party in your relationship? Sometimes a third party could be a sister, a mother-in-law, but basically anyone that is triangulating so that the person stays exactly the same. Now, not all therapists work like that, because most of them realize that you should graduate. You should probably graduate from your therapist at some point. But we believe in partnership coaches, and I think only 9 times. I'm a big, big lover of baseball, 9 times. You need to see a healer and a therapist for 9 times just to get it all down and all the patterns into your being changed. And then you are on your way. So that's all it is. Take the course, get a love board, see our coaches, and boom. If you are looking for love and want healthy love, that's the plan. So head to the link in the bio. You will find a connection there. Thank you for being part of my very first live stream. We will be doing this twice a week on different topics. So please head to our socials, look for any of those announcements where I will be doing different things. I will be doing some live love boards. We'll be teaching you about the golden triangle, and we have different topics all the time, every single week. So check us out, and thank you very much for being here.